What is up guys, and welcome to my latest video here on SP Vids, and today, as you can see, we are back on the SP404-MK2. Just thought I'd mix things up a little bit, you know. But all jokes aside, I wanted to do another shortcuts video today because I've actually been using the SP404-MK2 more recently as a kind of effects and sample processing unit. I haven't really been using it too much for making beats, but that's kind of changed over the past couple of weeks. I kind of switched between my devices in Ableton, and what I realized is that I've forgotten loads of the shortcuts that I needed, so I thought I'd do a refresh. This is going to be useful for myself, and hopefully there's some in here which you don't know about as well. So yeah, kind of a mix between useful shortcuts and ones that you might not know as well. Hopefully these are useful. And just before we start guys, I'd really appreciate it if you could check out all my beat packs and merchandise on spvids.com. All the links are in the description below. All the sales in my shop really keep me going here making these videos and just keep food on the table for me as well. So if you could go and check those out, that would be greatly appreciated. Okay, let's get into the first point here. So the first one that I wanted to show you is one that I don't actually really use an awful lot, but I can kind of see the benefit of it. So this is the ability to change the volume of an entire bank. So for example here, I'm on bank A, I've got some chops, some jazzy stuff, and I've got some drums as well. So to change the volume of this bank, what we can do is hold shift and then we can press the bank button itself. So I'm going to press A here, and you can see now that it says bank A volume, and what we can do is use the value wheel to change the volume of this. So if you wanted a lower output, for example, say you were recording into some sort of external device and you wanted to turn everything down, this is a good way of doing it, but still maintaining the volume on other banks that you may have. So it's kind of a nice independent control that you have over a particular set of samples that could come in handy in some situations, I can imagine. Okay, point number two, and this is one which I do use all the time, and I've probably mentioned it before because it's so handy, and that is that you can toggle gate on every single sample in a bank at the same time. This is really useful if you import, for example, loads of drum sounds onto a particular bank. Most of the time when you've got one-shot drum samples, you want them with gate off because you want them to just ring out once you've pressed them. So all you have to do this is, again, hold shift, and I'm in A again, obviously. You hold shift and you press gate. Now you're gonna see a little notification pop up on the screen. Bank A, gate on. Bank A, gate off. So now, okay, those have obviously got gate off. If I press that again, you can see now all these samples have gate on. So it's a really easy way to switch gate off and on, and it's particularly useful when you're importing samples because by default it sets gate to on. So if you need to quickly turn gate off all the samples that you've just imported, you can just use that little shortcut. It's super handy. I use that so much. It's really, really cool. Okay, the next one is to do with MFX and switching MFX that you have set up on bus 1 and bus 2. So I have to keep pressing this button to keep this on the screen so you can see. At the moment, bus 1 and bus 2 are both empty. So on bus 1, I'm going to put 404 vinyl sim. There we go. And on bus 2, I'm going to put isolator. So let's just have a look at those. You can see there, bus 1, 404 vinyl, bus 2, isolator. And the way we're going to switch these is by holding remain and pressing the bus FX button. So remember, bus 1 was 404 vinyl sim, bus 2 is isolator. If I hold remain and press the bus button, you can see now that isolator is on bus 1 and 404 vinyl sim is on bus 2. I can change that back. So there you go. You can see me doing it here live. You can switch those between bus 1 and 2. I can imagine a few situations where that will be useful. So that's a really nice little shortcut and really easy to do as well. Okay, we're flying through these. We're on to point 4 now, and this is a shortcut to turn off bus 3 and bus 4. Now, it doesn't mute them. All it does is temporarily remove the MFX that you've got on bus 3 and 4. Now, you need to have a little bit of understanding of how the buses work for this particular shortcut, but basically bus 3 and 4 are kind of like master effects that go over the top of everything. Bus 1 and 2 are kind of reserved for setting on individual pads. So for example, you might use bus 1 on your sample chops and then bus 2 on your drums. But then bus 3 and 4 are kind of effects that you want on everything. So sometimes you don't want that effect on until the very end of the beat when you've finished everything. For example, it might be a compressor. So you don't want the compressor on things when you're resampling. And you don't want to have to go into EFX settings all the time and constantly be turning this all the way to off like this to bypass it, you can see there. So basically it's a shortcut to bypass them, and all you have to do that is press and hold the value wheel and press the bus FX button. And you can see in the bottom left hand corner there, bus 3 and 4, you can see it's toggling on and off. So if you need it off for a little while, you can turn it off and then back on, etc, etc. Whatever you want to do, you can toggle it on and off. Also really useful when you're recording stuff in as well, because you don't want those master effects on when you're recording in, you want them at the end of the process. So yeah, that's a really useful shortcut, and I use that one a lot as well. Okay, this next one is a shortcut to copy one bank to another. Obviously, there's quite a few different situations where this would be useful, and it's relatively easy to do as well. So I've got bank E here. Some stuff that I'm working on there, and let's say I want to copy that to J. So J's empty at the moment, you can see. There's nothing happening on this particular bank. So we'll go back to E, and what we'll do is hold copy over here and press exit while you're holding copy. So copy and then exit, and you can see that the screen changes. Copy bank pad, pad will be overwritten. So we're going to use the value wheel to scroll between these two entries. I'm going to press E, you can see there that's pressed E, and then we're going to press E and then E again, so that that now shows J, and now we'll press copy. And there we go, it's done its thing, and you can see now on both E and J, we have exactly the same samples on there. So that can be really useful in certain situations, definitely a good one to know. Okay, this next one is really, really useful, and I use this multiple times, probably every 10 minutes I'd say when I'm on this machine, and that is this shortcut which shuts down all the sound playing out of the SP404-MK2. It doesn't matter if it's a pad, a pattern, whatever, this will stop all sound playing. So for example, if I go into a pattern here, we're just going to start this pattern just so I can show you. You can just hit a pattern on and off to stop it, but I'll also show you this as well. So you press and hold shift and you press exit, and that stops all sound. So let's give it a go. So it just stops everything, it stops all patterns. And if I've just come out of pattern mode and I go into bank J, if I press both of these, there we go, shift and exit, immediately shut everything up. So if you've got loads of random noise going off, maybe you can't find where the pad is that's making the noise, you can just press shift and press exit, and it's going to stop everything, including patterns. That's a really, really useful one, and I use it all the time. Okay, the next one is to do with MFX. Now, MFX are in the menu here, and obviously we can scroll through and we can use the wheel here to get to pages 2 and 3 like this. So there's 3 pages of MFX. But did you know you can actually use these 3 MFX buttons up the right-hand side in order to access the different menus? So the first button is page 1, you can see there, we're on page 1 of 3. Now, if we want to get to page 2, we hold MFX and then press DJ Effects Looper, and you can see we're now on 2 of 3. And if we do the same but use Isolator, we're now on 3 of 3. So you can get to all 3 pages with these 3 buttons like this. And once you're on those pages, you can use the pads to select whatever effect it is that you want to use. So obviously there's 16 here on each page, apart from the last one, because that's not full yet. Hopefully it will be soon, and hopefully we will have sidechain at some point maybe. But yeah, you can use the pads. So let's say we wanted lo-fi here on bank 1. That's pad 16, you press 16, and there you go, it highlights lo-fi. So once you're in here, you don't really need to use the value wheel at all, and it's quite fiddly when you're holding the MFX button as well. You don't want to be messing around doing that really. So yeah, use these buttons to get to the different pages. Use the pads to access the MFX. It's a much easier way of navigating this whole MFX area. I'm sure that's going to save you a little bit of time as well. Okay, my next tip involves the copy button. So the copy button becomes a completely different beast when we go into the pitch and speed area. Now, if we hold copy, you can see here it's saying it to mute group. So most of the time, you'll probably just be repitching to an entire mute group like this. So this is going to apply it to every sample inside that mute group. Let's see here, -4. You can see all those said -4, and then if I go in again and change it to -6, for example, you can see it's done it again. So we'll just put that back to -4, so you can apply the pitch to all the different pads inside the mute group there. But you can also do lots of different other things as well while you're in this screen. So obviously you can do the volume as well. That's a really simple one. I'm going to keep that at 30 because I'm obviously working on something here. You can do the gate here as well. We did talk about the gate shortcut before, but we can do it here as well, and that'll apply it to the whole mute group. So there's quite a big list of things that you can do with the copy button inside the screen, and I'll leave it on the screen here so you guys can take a look. But yeah, it's really, really handy. So have a look at that, what I've put on the screen. You can use copy button here to mute group, and you can use that to apply all different things to a specific group of samples. It's really, really useful. Okay, just 2 more left to get through now, guys. I only found out about this the other day, and this is really, really handy, and I think it's helping to clean up my finger drumming a little bit. You can actually stop multiple hits on a pad by enabling something called one-shot playback. So I'm going to use a longer sample for this so you guys can really tell what's going on. Okay, we're going to use this, and I'm going to make sure gate is turned off on this sample. Okay, so while that pad is playing, if I press it again, it will restart the pad. It will restart playing the pad from the very beginning. But you can actually turn that off so that when you hit the pad while it's playing, it won't trigger it again. It has to finish before it's allowed to be pressed again, basically. So that's what one-shot mode is. And to do it, all you have to do is press the value wheel and press gate. And you can see now the gate starts to kind of pulsate. Now if I press 1 and then start hitting it, you can see it doesn't make any difference. You cannot hit that pad again whilst that sample is playing. So I found that good for drums because you don't want to trigger a drum sound again before it's finished playing. So now I've started applying it to all my drum hits and finding that my finger drumming is becoming a little bit cleaner. So that's a really good case for it. It's just quite a handy all-round little feature, and if you want to turn it off, you just do exactly the same thing. Hold down value, press gate, that turns it off. And that's back to normal again. So that's one that I didn't know about, and it's pretty useful. Okay, this is the last one that I'm going to share with you guys today, and it's delete an entire bank or samples or patterns or everything. Just delete everything inside a bank. So this is really good for clearing stuff out if you don't want to use it anymore, obviously. And if you remember earlier in the video, I copied E and put it on J. Well, I don't actually need that copy, so what we're going to do is clear out bank J. And again, this is a really easy one to do, so be careful with this one. You press and hold delete, and you press exit. And you can see at the top of the screen, it now says delete bank J. So it's changed from just being delete pad. You can see here, if you just press delete on its own, it says select pad. If we press delete and then exit, it changes to delete bank. So I've got it on delete bank J, delete, and then if you want to come out of that, you just press exit. But if you want to go ahead and commit to that, all you have to do is press delete again. It does its thing pretty fast as well, and now you can see J is completely empty. We've still got those samples in E like we did before, but J is back to being empty again. So that's it, guys. 10 very useful shortcuts for the SP404 Mark II. I love doing these roundups now and again, and I know you guys really like them as well. They're a great refresher course, and I always try and throw some in there that you might not know about as well. So I hope that was the case in this particular video. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to check out those links in the description to support me like I mentioned earlier. Big shout out to all my members that support me monthly. I will be back with another video very, very soon.